In 1 Corinthians 13, the Apostle Paul says that the greatest thing in the world is love. In Sahih al-Bukhari, Muhammad is asked, what is there? What deed is there greater than jihad? Muhammad says, I know of no such deed. In Christianity, the greatest thing in the world is love. In Islam, the greatest thing in the world is fighting and dying for Allah in a jihad. And that's why Muhammad said that he wants to come back and continue dying over and over again in jihad. That's not me saying this. That's your most reliable collections of ahadith. In this debate, I've shown that Muslims are called to violence and that Christians are called to peace. In his conclusion, Shadid says, 2:190 hasn't been abrogated. He knows of no one who says that it's been abrogated. I believe I cited earlier on Tafsir al-Jalalain, one of the greatest commentators of all time. Well, it was actually two of them. But he declared that this was abrogated by Surah 9. He says that 9:5 can't be viewed as an injunction to go out slaughtering people. Actually, I think there's been a misunderstanding between us. I wasn't claiming. He brought up Surah 9:5 and was responding to people like, I don't know, Robert Spencer and so on. My only dispute was that you can't get out of any implications by quoting Surah 9, Ayah 13, because this was, given the verse before it, was a hypothetical. If he wants to interpret 9:5 in a manner that doesn't call for fighting all the polytheists, that's fine with me. Many of your commentators would disagree, but I think you can interpret it in a more peaceful way. He tells me, stop quoting Ibn Kathir. Well, I don't know who to quote to you. Who should I quote? We go to the Quran. What do we read in the Quran? Fight those who do not believe in Allah, nor in the latter day, nor do they prohibit what Allah and His Apostle have prohibited out of the people of the book, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. Fight, not the oppressors, fight those who do not believe. We turn to your most reliable collections of ahadith. What do we find? We find an almost identical statement. Allah's messenger said, I've been ordered to fight the people till they say, La ilaha illallah. And whoever said this, Allah will save his property and his life from me. Very similar statement. Fight people based on their beliefs. We turn to Ibn Kathir, Islam's greatest commentator. What does he say? Something radically different? Something totally contrary to this? No, he says, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. What is not clear about this? When you read, fight those who do not believe in Allah, what word there is not clear? It's perfectly clear. The only way it's not clear is if you take the former earlier revelations and use those to radically reinterpret Muhammad's clear teachings that came later. That's not the pattern that you're supposed to follow in Islam. I'm glad you do, but it's not what Islam teaches. He says the earlier revelations say something else, and he can cling to those if he wants. I agree. But again, that's not what you're supposed to do. According to your greatest commentators, according to your most reliable collections of Sahih Hadith, and according to the Quran. It says the Old Testament calls for slaughtering people, and that slaughtering everyone. Yes, there were times when God judged certain people after He told them centuries ahead of time, if you don't stop these pagan practices, I'm going to judge all of you. That's true. But in Judaism and in Christianity, these were limited. There was no Jews who say, I'm going to go around conquering the entire world. And Christians certainly wouldn't go around conquering the entire world. But when we examine the Quran, when we take it not according to your opinion, not according to your Western reinterpretation, when we look at Surah 9:29, when we look at Muhammad's claims in Al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, when we look at the interpretations of your most reliable commentators, we see a clear call to fight everyone. So we have no reason at all in this debate to think that Christianity is anything but peaceful. All we have is a ton of passages in the Quran that call for violence, Quran, Hadith, and so on. You can, again, go to earlier passages, but that's not what Muslims are supposed to do. My friends, Christians can live in peace because we have peace with God. Muslims, I don't think you have peace with God, and I think that's the ground of the call to fight everyone. And so I would invite you all to turn to Jesus and to know the Prince of Peace. And if you know the Prince of Peace, then you will love everyone as God does, and you'll have no inclination to kill anyone. or your religion.